And we will try again. Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened there. Like I was reading the comments for some weird reason, we could not hear Ty or Storms. But we should be good now because we went back to Old Faithful, which is our Zoom call. So that's what we're gonna do. And that's how we're gonna roll today. If you didn't catch the first portion of it, oh well, too bad, so sad. We're going to continue what we were talking about. We were talking about the signings, and we were talking about DeGrom. And where did DeGrom end up? Not in the big city, not in the city that's known for championships, except for really right now. Well, except the Astros right now because they've been good and good for a while. But take it away, Storms. Take talk about your thoughts and what you got to say about DeGrom.
All right. So just to kind of rehash what I was saying before, um, there was some speculation. A lot of people thought he'd stay in New York, but he ended up obviously in Texas. He got $37 million a year to take his talents to Arlington. 5 years, $185 million. I really like this signing. I think it was. I think I said right at the beginning of the offseason, I thought they were going to get DeGrom and Kershaw, but Kershaw stayed home. Um, but yeah, man. After spending $500 million on their middle infield last year, everybody knew that the Rangers weren't done. Um, I think it's great. There it was going to take something drastic for them to eventually compete with Houston, which is their goal, as it should be. So I don't think they're done now either. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll continue spending this off season, but I think they know that they've improved a lot by signing DeGrom and Andrew Heaney and getting Martin Perez to take the qualifying offer, and they traded for Odorizzi. They have a strong rotation now, but they still got a lot of holes to patch if they're going to compete. So, but yeah, I'm all for this signing. I can't wait to see what the Rangers are going to look like this season, and how much progress they're going to make. So, yeah.
So if you're in the chat right now, in this portion of the chat, I don't know if this happens when you're not live or what. This is the first time I've done this. There's a little poll down there that I put asking, would you have signed DeGrom to this 5-year deal? Go ahead and answer that question. Let's see what kind of answers we get, and whatever. If you want to comment in the comment section as well, go ahead. Ty, what you got to say, bro?
I think, it's about time that the Rangers, spend some money, and they have done that in the last couple of years. You got a brand new ballpark, you signed some marquee free agents and address needs, not only in the first year in your lineup, but with your starting pitching rotation. So good move. And then on top of that, people may not recognize it, but you also bring in Bruce Bochy. So Rangers are looking to, stake some claim in a division that is trending upward. You have of course, reigning champions. You have up and coming teams, and potentially one franchise that could be rebuilding and starting over as well. So I commend, the Rangers, and their team, the ownership team led by a savvy businessman by the name of Ray Davis, good GM with Chris Young. Good moves. Uh, Still surprised that it was done. But if you're going to head into the other side of your career after you establish yourself for multiple years as one of the most dominant, Texas is going to welcome you with open arms. Enjoy some good barbecue. Don't let the property taxes on your home purchase, kill you too much. But there's good value in homes in Texas there. So, and then of course, while it may not be the most beautiful ballpark on the outside, it's one of the newest, and hopefully you have good luck in that ballpark and staking your claim there for years to come. So wish him the best and pay up, get him his money. DeGrom earned it.
You're muted, bro.
Yep. At least I couldn't hear you, Jorge.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
my bad.
Can't hear you now.
Stop playing with me.
Now I can hear
I
you.
can hear you now.
What? Anyway,
I can't hear you again.
He's the host with the most tonight.
Host
Nope.
with the most technical difficulties.
Right. Well, Storms, at least it wasn't us.
Right?
So, hey,
now
bloopers happen, though. We
now
can
we
run with
know
it.
where the blame lies.
Yep. Nothing.
You may be making very solid points, but I can't hear you, so I'm just gonna say we win. We win the argument. It's your fault.
no.
There you go. He's back.
Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah. And I got to hear more than your first word that time.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I'm not gonna touch anything else because this is going
Don't
horribly
even
wrong.
move. Don't
I'm,
move.
I'm not. Okay. So as far as the signing goes, I like it for two reasons and two reasons only. I like that. Well, a couple reasons. I like that the Mets didn't give him more than 3 years. Um, I like that the Rangers signed him, and I'll give you two names why it's a good reason. Good reason they signed him. I mentioned this before, and I said they have young pitchers coming up, Jack Leiter and Kumar. And if you're gonna learn from anybody in the game, you're gonna want to learn from the best. DeGrom has been the best in the game for about 5 years now, and he has a lot to offer to show them by not only using your fastball because DeGrom has a very unique fastball. It rises, so he can that can be you know a weapon for them, and also how to use their changeup because DeGrom has a nasty changeup. So, with that being said, I like the signing for Texas. I like it because they have young names coming up, in which 3 years they're probably going to dominate the league. Now the length, the 5 years, that's awesome on the Grom side because who knows how long he's going to be healthy. He took the money, let's be honest, and that's what he did by him saying he wants to win a championship. You don't go to Texas to win a championship. Yes, they got Bochy, but they have a lot of pieces that they need. So I like it for Texas on the Texas end of it.
To piggyback off of what you said, with a lot of that young pitching talent on its way up, I think that's exactly why a 5-year deal makes more sense for Texas than it maybe would for a lot of other teams just because of those injury concerns.
Right. Right. So you guys want to say anything else about the Grom? Ty, you're good. You want to move on to the next pitcher that we were going to talk about?
Yeah, we can, go to the next one because ultimately there's a good segue because he's a replacement, right?
Right. Right. So that man we're talking about is Justin Verlander, the reigning Cy Young. So what you got to say, buddy? What you got to say about the Mets signing Verlander? I'll kick it to you, Ty.
I didn't see it coming. It was definitely a shocker for me. And I honestly thought, he was going to either step away from the game. I thought it was possibly like he could retire. But it's kind of like he is, hey, I still got something left in the tank because it's a 2-year deal. So if he wants to take on Father Time, I'm here for it. And the Mets definitely, will take advantage of that. I think, it allows him to be with a good pal of his, reunite with Scherzer. So you got the old guys, together. yet again. Um, I don't know if it'll be the same as what happened in Detroit, but I'm here for it, and it's intriguing. Um, so it legitimizes that rotation. If health is wealth, and both of these, guys who are, on the backside of their careers, if they can stay healthy, um, let him have some success. Will he get, you know, Cy Young number 4? I don't know. I don't know. But welcome to welcome to the NL. I mean, this, a new, start, like a reset for him. So 2 years to see what you can do, and I wish him the best, in those 2 years, because he still, has the volume and he still has the arm. Obviously, we've seen that this last year. You still, have the velocity with, pitching into the 90s. So makes sense. And hell, Mets, offer me some money. You giving everybody something. Give me something. I'm just saying.
So just put up another poll on there too
Never
about
have too many scouts, right?
Right?
just put up another poll up there, not about Justin Verlander, asking the question, how annoying do you find Ben Verlander? Very annoying, a little annoying, or he's okay. So,
and he's in Queens now, so he has a bigger market. Oh boy.
man, I couldn't stand the guy before. Now we're gonna hear him even more. Go ahead, category. What you got to say?
I don't want to bash the man on air. I'll say this about Ben Verlander. He's Justin's brother. Moving on. Yeah, man, I didn't see this coming either. Him signing with the Mets. I thought he was, if anything, he was going to run it back in Houston. But this is kind of how I feel like that went. Like Mark Piper, his agent, called him after he talked to Steve Cohen and got the offer. And Verlander went, "Hello? How much?" I bet. $43 million AAV. Money talks. And if I was Houston, I ain't matching that either.
I get it.
No way. They got plenty in the tank to be just fine without Verlander. I know that's a weird thing to say because Verlander is like he's an all-time great, but they'll be just fine.
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited because he joins this man.
It's not Detroit. I just said that.
This man. No, it's not. It's that right here. Thank you very much, even though it's blurry. But shout out to the wife. Thank you for the jersey. But
maybe
listen,
now y'all will get a season like we all expected out of Scherzer and DeGrom being together.
Here we go. I had to fucking say something.
It makes for good TV, man.
You're right.
Hey.
But let's see.
Plus, I like busting your balls.
Let's see if they can stay healthy. They're up in age. They're at that 40 plateau, man. And that's what scares me more than anything, their age. Scherzer was hurt last year. He missed some starts because of his oblique. And so did Verlander. But Verlander was a different issue. I really don't remember what it is or what it was. But that age, man, father time catches up to you at some point. And I don't know. I just, for the Mets having two older pitchers, yeah, they were teammates before. I just think the Mets need to be more cautious as far as throwing them out every fifth day. You know what I mean? They need to figure something out.
Let me ask you a question. If you were a GM, which contract would you want more? 5 at 80 or 185 for DeGrom, or 2 at 86 for Verlander?
Good question.
43 million for 2 years, or 37 for 5?
I would take the shorter deal just because I know DeGrom is not going to live out his contract, man. His injuries, uh, yeah, we're talking about money here because money is what people always talk about when they compare contracts. But as far as these particular contracts go, I think I'm gonna go with the shorter term because of the Grom's injury. Um, Look at his track record, man. We say it all the time. You guys used to talk about the Grom being the best pitcher in the world, but if he's not available, what good is it? And if he with Texas 5 years and he only pitches a 2.5, what good is a 5-year contract?
One more question, one last question, because I had to ask. This is just for jokes.
Mhm.
You want to bring Jim Leland back, or you want to stick with Buck Showalter? I couldn't resist. I couldn't. Yeah, some good years.
I should have known better to be drinking my water.
Dude,
Jim had some good years.
Dude, I actually like Jim Leland, man. I
Yeah.
like him a lot as a manager. Yeah, I liked him a lot. But Buck,
The three amigos right there. The old guys.
but Buck has a lot to prove, and we'll see if they stay healthy enough for them to prove it. But I like the signing. I like Verlander. I like Verlander in New York. He was in Houston, and now he gets to be with the old teammate and probably take another team to the promised land with Scherzer. They let's see. Let's see if Verlander is able to get his third and Scherzer to get his second ring, right? Second for Scherzer? Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But let's move on to
No, it would be his third. He got one with Washington and one with LA, right?
No.
No,
Never mind.
No.
almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. You're welcome, Ty. We brought back bad memories for you.
Yeah, it is what it is.
So let's now talk about the reigning AL MVP, the AL home run champ now. Not home run champ, AL home run champ. Let's get that straight. And him sticking with the team which he played for last year, the Yankees, that would be none other than Aaron Judge. I think we've said this before, and it proved to be right. The Yankees needed Judge more than Judge needs the Yankees, and he winds up staying in New York. What do you got to say, Storms?
You know what? This man's name doesn't come up without this some semblance of this following, but just props to that man betting on himself. Like it's a risky thing to do in sports because you never know when you're going to go out there and get a major injury and miss a lot of time, and in a contract year that can that can really hurt you. But all he did was go out there and break some records and win an MVP. And now instead of, I think it was 7 years, 213 that he turned down at the beginning of the season.
He turned down a lot of money.
And
Yep.
yeah, and then he winds up with 9 at 360. I mean, these contracts are getting crazy. I'm all for it, but no, great for him. Doesn't really feel like the Yankees have accomplished much else. They're not better than they were last year. So I like it for him. I like it for New York. They couldn't afford to lose him under any circumstances. And if they did, the only thing that would have saved that would be bringing in Ohtani next year. But if they whiffed on that, then, who knows? But they got the job done. So now they got to go out and, fill some other holes. They need, they better not let Rodon slip away. That fan base will eat them up if they do.
What's up, Trav? We see you. We see you in the chat. So I put a question in the chat for everybody to answer. What do you think of the Yankees keeping Judge And do you think, or what could they have done differently with this money, as far as adding pitchers, bullpen, another bat, maybe letting Judge go? What do you? Let me know what you guys think.
$360 million, just about anything they want.
Yeah, right. What do you gotta add to this, Ty?
Well, when I saw the amounts, I almost did my best Chris Tucker impersonation from Rush Hour. But that was a lot of money. But I'm proud, that Judge bet on himself. One, he earned that like to the fullest. I will say this and shout out to my guys at 94, mainly my favorite historian and Coach Les. I was ready for some heel activity because how New York treated Judge in the postseason, I wouldn't have been mad at Judge if he would have signed with San Francisco, which according, I don't know what happened to him, if if anything, like as far as, hey, you were wrong, but John Heyman was like, he's going to San Francisco. So I thought it was done. And then apparently it wasn't retracted. And I think John Heyman is a columnist in New York, right? So what happened there? But I wouldn't have been happy had he gone to San Francisco as far as from, a rival standpoint, but I would have understood just for the heel activity and the narrative behind it of Judge basically saying, F you, New York, and I have a better chance of doing something, out west as far as winning. For legacy, the pinstripes legacy is important. Do I think he'll ultimately be like the captain or Sandman or any other former Yankees that have won? We'll see. You have to get one definitely, two if you're lucky. I don't think that will happen in Judge's time, but you never know. This is baseball because there are a lot of good teams on the rise, and also you're still the AL East, which is a monster of a division. So you got paid. Now, what are you going to do with that money? They're going to expect you to produce obscene amount of numbers, and New York will let you have it if you don't deliver. We've seen this with A-Rod. Uh, you could be that guy. So a lot of pressure to deal with it, but Judge, once again, let your game do your talking, and if it doesn't, hey, at least you got paid, and I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, not at all. Especially the way he went about doing it, betting on himself. He bet on himself. He won, and he deserves all the money he's getting. And he, he beat the house. That's what he did, and good for him. Now, as far as we have a huge Yankees fan in Vic, as you guys already know from Views from the 22. He was pulled up a couple of videos and said if it wasn't for the umps calling some BS strikes or whatever, we would have seen 73 home runs. Vic, I don't know about that, dude. 73 home runs is a lot of home runs, but he definitely deserves the money he's getting. And kudos to the Yankees for dishing out the money to him, even though it was a year too late. But whatever, maybe
he might have had a dozen or two more walks.
But thank you, Yankees, for not signing him last year. You know why? Because you probably wouldn't have never seen this magical year if you guys did sign him. Who knows? Maybe he was just a man on a mission to get that money, but we'll see.
I never thought Aaron Judge would leave New York anyway. Now, Arson Judge, though, that dude would totally do it.
100%. So now let's move on to one of the other signings that we had. Who do you guys want to go to now? Do you guys want to
We
go?
had Shortstop City coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We did actually. So we'll start with let's start with another National League East signing. Or actually, Storms, before we go into the signings, do you want to talk about the trades that happened? That way we can talk about all the shortstops in a row.
Yeah, big 3-team trade the other day. People been speculating about Sean Murphy, catcher from the A's, getting traded for a good while now. It was just, where's he going to land, and is anyone going to pay the crazy asking price? Um, the the Braves of all teams, who I don't know if this was ever even on anybody's radar, but the Braves ended up working out a 3-team deal between them two and the Brewers, and so they ended up landing Murphy and what's his name, William Contreras, went to the Brewers, so he'll have a chance to see his brother a lot more, being in the same division with Wilson signing in St. Louis. But long story short, the A's got a whole bunch of prospects back, just like they wanted. I don't feel like what they ended up getting was nearly as high. Like they got, I think six players back,
It was
but
something ridiculous.
yeah, so they got a lot of players. I don't know if, like, man, I feel like the Soto deal, Washington got more for Soto, which I didn't expect with the way they were talking, but I like it, especially for Atlanta. They just got a lot better, and Murphy's under control for 5 years. Um, I like it for Milwaukee because they need offense. Contreras is going to help with that. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes for Oakland. They got some guys that they got a couple guys, and I don't remember names offhand because I was only looking at it a little while ago, but they've got some guys that apparently look like they could really be something. But you know how the A's operate. That means they'll break into the majors in 26 and get traded at the deadline in 27. So
It's probably how they'll wind up being for them. Just because the A's are going to A, and once they're good, they'll trade them for somebody that's not all that good. That's how it usually goes. But, like you said, actually, we were talking about this before we even came on the show. And I'm going to post this question to you, Ty. Um,
Mhm.
if you were Travis Darno, how would you feel?
Um, exactly. When it seems like Little D was your guy, he earned an extension. The Braves bought into him. He produced. Even though it was a reserve, he still was an all-star. Um, is he the same guy that he was when he got that extension? When he kind of had his breakout year, you wonder. And I know from if you're a Little D, you're thinking, oh, the team is bringing in this new guy who's proven, and I'm gonna have to compete with him. Does that mean that they're not, confident in me being consistent? Or it's just, hey, I mean, they just want somebody better. I mean, you think about big name catchers, the Braves had two, but before that, the last probably big name catcher was like Brian McCann, I'm gonna say. For the Braves. Trav, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the last one who was like a perennial all-star
Javi
for seasons for
Lopez.
the Braves. Uh, that's way, way back.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, um, I think Lil D is okay with catchers by committee because he had Contreras, who was a teammate. They had success together. If the Braves are going to be a little bit, because it's a long season, flexible with catchers to keep them fresh, and see how they work, amongst the rotation. Which I hear there's some rumblings that rotation can be shaken up a little bit. Uh, Looking at you, Mr. Freed, I'm hearing some offers out there, but I don't think the Braves will do it. But I'm just hearing. So we'll see how it goes. I think pros will be pros, and in the case the Braves have players who understand that, you have to remain professional. I don't think it will be something that could like destroy the camaraderie in the clubhouse. But if you go home and you cry, a pillow, I understand, Lil D. I understand.
Well, the thing about that though is, the catcher position nowadays, it's really a two-player position. Like your everyday catcher in most cases nowadays is going 100, 110 to 135 games a year. So I mean, it's a big deal to have a quality backup.
Yeah, but
And
somebody who's younger, who's better.
all I'm saying is like, you know, yeah, if you're Darno, you got to be disappointed. You're no longer Uno on the depth chart, but he's still going to get a chance to contribute and be part of a championship or bust team, and that's not something that a lot of guys get a chance to be on. So I mean, yeah, it's disappointing, but I and he's the type of guy I kind of feel like he's just going to kind of roll with it. But we'll see. Every now and then you hear about guys in situations like this, they'll ask for a trade. Grass isn't always greener. Sometimes those guys get their wish and never play for a contender again.
Mm-hmm. And Trev said, "Leave Javi alone." So
we didn't say nothing, Trav. He's just old. That's all.
There's a good and bad to this. The bad is that Darno, the most games he's ever catched or played in the year is 112. The good is the Braves just signed a backup catcher that can start on like 20 different teams, if you're thinking about it. So there is a good shot these guys are probably going to go, like Storms just said, 100 games catching and 62 games catching. They're not going to lose anything with either one of them catching.
Wait, my understanding is Murphy would be the listed starter.
Yeah, and I was getting to that.
Okay.
To where Darno, it's going to benefit him because Darno is probably going to see more DH reps, which is good for him because he's 33. Again, the most games he's played in the year is 112. The most games he played in Atlanta was last year at 107. So it's probably going to prolong his career. You know what I mean? Catchers at 33, their knees are pretty much shot. I mean, you've been playing the catcher position now for, I would say, about 10 years because catcher, you really have to start in high school. So, well, even before, more than 10 years then. 33, that means what? Take it back 18 years? That's
Even Jay Taylor did make it to the starting position as a catcher in Major League Two, Rube. So for all my major leaguers out there.
Yep. So it's gonna prolong his career, and Murphy's a good backup to have, man. This is a good problem to have. This is a problem you don't mind having, especially with the injury concerns that Darno has in his past. You want to touch on the other trade that happened, Storms? Wasn't there another trade? Was it Nino, the Rays catcher as well? Or was that a free agent signing, or am I wrong?
Oh, Rays and Dodgers earlier today?
I believe so.
Oh yeah. The Rays traded JP Fireeisen.
There you go. That's what it is.
His name, right? JP.
Yep.
Yes.
To the Dodgers. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me pull it up. What the Dodgers gave up? Was it just cash or a player to be named later?
There was a player involved. I remember
Here we
if it
go. I
was
got it.
like to be named, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Just says a minor league pitcher in the Jeff Passan
Yeah.
tweet. Doesn't say who.
Yeah.
So that was one. I mean, him. The one I was getting to is actually the Guardians picking up their catcher or Mike Zunino, the Rays all-star power hitting catcher, and we were talking about the Guardians actually upgrading a catcher, and they signed Zunino to a 1-year deal, which was huge, I think, for the Guardians, and because that's the one position where they were lacking it, in my opinion.
So if I was a Guardians fan, it would be like I'm happy with it. Definitely upgrades that position from an offensive standpoint. But man, you let Murphy get dealt to Atlanta. You let Contreras sign in St. Louis, and you let Vasquez sign in your division when you needed a catcher. And all three of those, I understand they have Bo Naylor coming up the ranks, but all three of those are a better option than Mike Zunino. And I know that Vasquez got 3 years from Minnesota for $30 million, and maybe the Guardians just weren't willing to go to that AAV or go to 3 years because they've got Naylor coming up. I don't know, but I question the decision making there because I didn't hear anything about them making any offers for any of those guys as much as it was speculated. So
Well, I heard the Guardians were there and they were in discussions, but once Murphy got dealt, Zanino was up. Even though, it's not a bad deal. 1 year, $6 million for Zanino, but you hope that he comes back from didn't he just have surgery on his throwing arm?
Mm-hmm.
So you wonder how he's gonna deal with that. But if you get the power hitter that hits 30 plus home runs and may work out.
To add to that, 2 days ago, they also signed, they also signed Josh Bell. That went a little under the radar. They signed Josh Bell to a 2-year, $33 million contract. And with those two players now in that lineup, we were talking about it all last year. The Guardians now have added, if Zunino gets back to what he could be, they added 60 home runs to their lineup. Easy. So
Which was needed.
very.
it was the only thing they were missing.
Yes. Look out for the Guardians. The Guardians went on a little shopping spree. They picked up two players that could potentially, like I said, add 60 home runs. And that lineup was really all that's needed for that lineup because they did not have that at all.
Jose's happy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's like, help me.
So now that we got through the little bit of trades and signings that we saw, as far as small market with the Guardians, and also not small, but still Atlanta Braves, a good franchise that picked up a very good catcher. We are going to talk about now the
Short City.
Shortstop City lifetime deals that we've never seen before, and rumbling and tumbling and talking about going here, there, everywhere. Trey Turner first. Let's talk about that. Him being with the Dodgers and his name being thrown all the way around from the West to East Coast, every single NL East team. And really, he could have picked and choose where he went, but where he decided to go was to join his buddy Harper in the city of brotherly love and play shortstop for the Philadelphia Phillies. Man, Ty, kick it off, talk about that contract, talk about that money, that city he's gonna play in. What you gotta say, doggy?
Man, I feel like the city of brotherly love is getting everybody in these off seasons. The Eagles damn did it with AJ Brown. You got the 76ers, they have Embiid, they have Harden, uh Maxey, he's on the rise. Now even baseball. I mean, come on. Philly's making it's like a movement going on. They're preparing themselves, for an epic run here because their city believes in, you get star players, you can win. And I'm not saying they're going to, but if you just have the season they had and success they had this year where nobody really saw it coming at all, this is a way to be like, okay, double or nothing, let it ride. And you put your money where your mouth is. And yes, the truth is, relationships matter. I do believe that Trey goes to a place where, he can team up with his buddy, Bryce Harper, who has earned the right for me to say his name now. There you go. You're welcome, Bryce. Um, yeah, I felt that we could have had a chance in LA, but obviously, I was not surprised by this. I was hoping, but congratulations for an unprecedented deal, but has since then become shortstop city. Now, if you're Dansby Swanson, you're like, what happens for me now? This was a huge ass contract. Like, damn. But he's deserving of it. He's, one of those guys who sets the market, and we knew he was going to do that. So enjoy your money, and let's see how Philly embraces you. But man, as far as that Philly, it's coming. It's coming. That fan base, like they're winning on all cylinders as far as getting star players and top tier talent. I don't know how they're doing it.
So talk about the money, Storms.
Yeah, man. 11
You said what?
1 11 years. $300
That's
million.
once in Espanol, by the way.
So
See.
to let everybody know, he is 30 years old. He will not be a free agent until he's 41. He's set. This contract, he doesn't have to do anything else for the rest of his life.
That is 9 figures 300 times.
Yep.
Man, I just, you know what? This just always felt like the best fit. Like you said, Ty, he and Harper are tight. He made it pretty clear from the beginning that he wanted to go back east. Didn't say where, and I think that the Harper factor was what made his decision, probably.
Harper has a 13-year contract, right?
I believe,
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, which means that'll have Trey's contract expiring a year after Bryce's. So they're gonna spend the next 10 years as teammates.
Ew.
Ew. No, man, I think it's great for Trey. I think it's great for Philly. Man, that the whole NL East is just, well, except for Washington, is going to be really scary over the next like 4 or 5 years. We've talked before about that Miami rotation, but man, Philly just solidified that they're not just going to be one and done. I don't think they're going to go away. So
2031 is the year in which Bryce Harper's last year in his contract, and 2033 is Trey Turner. So, look, we've seen in the past to where one long-term contract comes to bite you in the butt. This is two now on one team. I don't know how it's going to work out. Wait and see. But let me tell you this. The Phillies just went to the World Series. The Phillies just pursed basically the biggest purse there has been in a World Series because of the extended playoffs per team. So what they did was they turned that money into signing an all-star shortstop. And like Category said, the best shortstop in baseball. And man, the Phillies are going to be a tough team to beat this year. We talked about it last year. If they get their stuff together, their pitching is an issue. It was an issue. It came to light in the playoffs, more so in the World Series. But this lineup can score runs and runs in bunches. They can hang around and hit home runs in that small ballpark. And with Trey Turner running around those bases, Trav, we have an issue in the top of the NL East, man. If they get some pitching and some arms, yeah.
So in the last 3 years, Turner is, in all of baseball, he is second in batting average, second in on-base percentage, and second in stolen bases.
I'm already.
For a typical leadoff hitter, man. There was, I don't know, Vic shared this one too. There was somewhere, I think it was MLB.com or I'm going to call him some dumbass that made a lineup and still had Schwarber batting first, Turner second, Harper third, and Castellanos fourth. Something stupid like that. If you don't bat Trey Turner first in this lineup and with this team, why the hell did you sign him? There's no reason Schwarber should be batting first. Turner should be leading off in this lineup. And he's going to be an issue in the NL East for the next 11 years. And I don't want to see it. Can they trade him? Are they allowed to trade him? Like
He just
right
got
now?
there. He just got there. He haven't got his first check.
Yeah, no, you leave the lineup as is. You put Schwarber at 2 and Turner at 1, and you're good.
That's it. Why are you overcomplicating yourself? That's all you got to do.
Like, you want to have Schwarber at the top of the lineup hitting his home runs? Or do you want the guy who's second in on-base percentage over the last 3 years hitting in front of him?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Trav also just said Trout to Philadelphia next year. No, Trav, don't wish that evil on us. We don't need it. No, thank you. Let's go to the next shortstop that we want to talk about. How about this lifelong man? This guy, he's done it on 3 teams now. He's gotten paid, and he's gonna do it in the only time zone he's missing, I think, is the Eastern time zone, which if he gets traded out of this contract, he can play in the Eastern time zone. Correa went from Houston to Twins to now mega contract in San Francisco. And San Francisco got
Ridiculous.
San Francisco got their face for the franchise. They needed one. They haven't had one in years. And they have one now in Correa. Go ahead, Storms. Take it away, brother.
13 years, $350 million.
Wait. Say that for the people in the back.
Oh, I said 13 years, $350 million.
What?
That is a lot of doll hairs. Man. Let's call it what it is with these shortstops, right? You're buying 6 or 7 years of the next 6 or 7 years of these guys' production at best for whatever the extra 6 or 7 years is going to cost you. That's what's happening. And, make no mistake, every single one of these contracts is a bust if it does not result in a championship, period. Period. So that's why this is an uncommon thing. Like, man, I hope it works out for San Francisco. Good for Correa. He told, I think he said it to the media, but he indirectly told the Mets earlier towards the end of the season that they were going to have to pay if they wanted to keep him.
The Twins, not the Mets.
Yeah. Oh, did I say that? My bad. Yeah, the Twins. Word is they made an 11-year, $280 million offer, which is extremely out of character for them.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that's nothing compared to 13,350. So, see, I wonder how that's going to go in the clubhouse because, oh God, I just blanked. Guy that's been their shortstop forever.
Who?
The Giants.
Oh, shoot, why can't I think of his name either? Oh my God, why did I just blank like that?
It's on the tip of my tongue too as well. And I'm like, I know you're talking about just because it's a rival, but God.
Why can't we think of it? Brandon Crawford.
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford, yeah.
Why the hell couldn't we think of
my
his
brain
name?
kept wanting to say Brandon Belt. Like, no, he's a first baseman.
Crawford.
But Crawford, I mean, he's kind of like he's the leader of that team in the clubhouse. And, he just lost his job. I think it'll be all right because Correa's, I've never heard anything bad about him as a teammate. And he's not a diva type. He's going to go in there and, he'll be the center of attention because of the contract, but not like in a bad way. So I think it'll be all right, but it's always something like that's always interesting to watch, see how it plays out.
But we've said this in the past. Crawford is one of the most underrated shortstop in the league just because he's out west, and if he played on any other team, he'd have more exposure. But
defensively, one of the best, actually, defensively. I don't know. I think he has like a four-time Gold Glove guy, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4, I think, but yeah.
Easily one of the best. And where are they going to put him?
You got to give him. I don't know. Actually, I would say move him over, but I mean he's older.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Man. I don't know. I feel bad for him now. Career going over there. He's younger.
I mean,
he's now the face.
I mean, you got Wilmer Flores at second base right now.
That's true. You can move him there, but yeah, Correa. Talk about it, Ty. He's getting money.
This is what happens when you have another person who's like, okay, you want to see what I can do? Bet. He got the show me deal. He did what he was supposed to do in Minnesota, kept his head down, just performed. I think if you look, he's on the trajectory of answering those questions and concerns and the murmurs you heard from when he was in Houston about him being healthy. He's kind of the last season has been a workhorse. Other than COVID and something minor, like he's been available. And you factor all you do, he has the size, like he's a rather big shortstop, which allows him to cover a lot of area and space. How he fields is, uses that to his advantage with those long arms he has. A little hop does, so he's solid there. And you that much, obviously San Francisco, who I think, like others that were looking at him, did their homework and their due diligence, saying we're going to get what our money is worth. You look at where the Giants are and where they could be. Hopefully he, embraces the role as a leader, the face of the franchise. so to speak, but does it the right way from, the predecessors before him, like the Buster Posies. So if he can do that, which I think he can, he also has, the championship pedigree. This may work out, but we got to see, what else is the Giant willing to do to, make a, good team and for them to come together.
You're getting a 20 home run, 90 RBI shortstop. In this day and age, getting that kind of shortstop, he's a superstar. He's been to the promised land. He has a World Series championship. He has gold gloves. He has a platinum glove. He's a two-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year. San Francisco went and got their guy. They wanted the Judge, didn't land him, but they got plan B, backup, and this was their backup.
Which isn't a bad one. It's not.
No, but they got to put pieces around him. They have 13 years to do it, which is crazy, but they have to put pieces around him, man. They need a lot more pieces over there in San Francisco. And let's face it, man, they're not in an easy division. They're in a division which they gave what they beat out the Dodgers 2 years ago, right? And then lost to them in the playoffs. But they're not that team.
Same thing the Dodgers did last year with the Padres.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
irony of it all.
Yep. So they're not in an easy division. And thank you for that segue, Storms, because that easily throws us over to the segue of another shortstop signing in the same division on another rival of ties for another stupid contract. And we will dig into that contract, and we will also dig into his former team and also GM as far as what the hell he has done with that lineup and those players. But anyway.
Right after these messages.
Exactly. No. Xander Bogaerts, man. The Padres threw him some money, and now he is part of Slam Diego, as I like to call it. And interesting to see what are they going to do with Tatis. But we will get into that conversation right after we talk about the money. Ty, what's the money? How's it looking like?
Money I wish I could see in my lifetime that I probably never will. That is 11. Again, 11. I don't know what it is about 11. Like, that's just the thing for shortstops. But shortstop city, we got 11 years, 280. That's no opting out and full no trade clause. Basically, San Diego said, shut up and take my money after missing out on some guys they took a swing at, because they did try with Trey. They did try with Judge. And they landed Xander. Bogey is here, out west. But man, the ripple effect of this one. Woof, Padres, what are you gonna do next? You got some intriguing things that could happen with that roster.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for it. I'm looking at it because if you make the right moves, that may cause me to sweat because I'm in your division. If you make bonehead moves, I'm celebrating that we could potentially have another divisional title. But like, this is going to be interesting because you look at that Padres roster, it's loaded. Are they all going to mesh well together? You don't know. You got some great names and some moving around to do. Who plays what, who plays where, who plays there, why. That's basically the big questions I have here. And then Xander, what do they need from him? They're going to definitely expect, of course, mainly the offense from him, which he brings. He's a fringe 300, career guy, so he's good with the bat. Once again, how this all works and what's the next move going to be for the Padres? That's what I would like to know.
Was
So something that Ty alluded to, there's already rumblings that Fernando Tatis could be traded since they signed Bogarts. All
Or
I
you move
have
him.
to say, what?
Or they move him. Yeah, or they move him to like, outfield.
So presumably, I don't know why this. He would move to right field. They'd push Soto to left, which I don't really care how they do it. All I'm saying is, all I ask is that if you're gonna trade Tatis, just don't rob us of experiencing one half of a season with Manny, Fernando, Juan, and Xander hitting back to back to back to back. And
I don't want to see that. I mean, I do, but I don't. But I do.
But
hey, man, it's only. I'm only asking you to endure it for half a season, just until the deadline. That's it.
he kind of does want to see it, but he doesn't want to see it.
No, but so yeah, I mean, great for the Padres. Like, but it's become, I guess, like a favorite pastime of mine on this show. But I'm gonna take this opportunity actually to shit on the Red Sox. So, like the fact that they let him get away is just mind-boggling to me. Like, I thought they would learn from their mistakes. They already robbed their fan base of Mookie Betts in his prime because they were too goddamn cheap to lock him up. He wanted an extension. He told them that he wanted $300 million, and they said, we'll give you $2 million. And then once he got to free agency, they said, okay, we'll give you 300. And he said, well, it's 4 now. And they said, no, we're not doing it. And then they did basically the same thing with Xander, and now he's gone too. And the incompetence over there is starting to really, but I shouldn't say that. Bloom had a lot of success in Tampa Bay, but the problem is that he's trying to run this team like he's still in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
And I said this before we went on air. The problem is that these different franchises have different identities and different personalities and different budgets and different this and different that, and it's all different. And you can't necessarily have success running 2 different teams in the same way. And in Boston, you cannot win if you do not spend.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They don't have the analytics department set up the way that Tampa does, and that's something that takes years to get to that point. And like, I get what he's trying to do over there, but this ain't the fan base. If you want a city that's going to be patient enough to give you 10 years to turn, then no, he'll lose his job in 2 if he doesn't produce results from this point. I really believe that, because they're at a point now where they're looking at 5th place in that division for a long time.
Yep. So I too will talk about the Red Sox in a second, but excited for Bogarts and what he can bring to San Diego. Like you said, Storms, and also Ty. Man, we're talking about Soto, Bogarts, Tatis, Manny, and wow, just two through 5 and 2 through 4 or 5, whatever in that lineup is outrageous. And the Red Sox, man, Haim Bloom, I don't know what the hell you doing, what you're smoking, what you're doing when you're not in that seat talking to the press. I have no idea, but you have totally dismantled this franchise, and the only player you have now or will have left over is Devers, and you'll probably finna to lose him too. Um, you let Mookie Betts go to the team that you beat in the World Series, and I don't know. I don't like Storms just said. You can't run a franchise in Boston where you're expected to win, expected to be in the race for for the AL East, like you're still with the Rays where you don't have that money and you're looked at to build the product from within. The Boston Red Sox have never been like that. The Boston Red Sox will never be like that. They're there to spend money, they're there to win, and they've done it in the past, but since you've gotten there, they haven't done really much of anything. And I feel sorry for that fan base, man. Kyle, sorry, bro. You're going through a lot right now, and seeing those three players now not wearing that jersey. Well, JD still has an opportunity because he's a free agent, but he may not be there after this year. And the only person you have left is Devers, and it's a long road ahead for the Red Sox, man. They can't. He can't be doing this to that franchise, and well, he already has, but it's sad. And you're right, Storms. If it's, I would say I would give him at the most 2 years, man. If he doesn't, if they don't do something in 2 years, there's a problem. He has to be gone. You know what I mean? Because this this is not the city to do this type of work in. What do you got to touch on that, Ty?
Um, if you are like, in, the front office or part of an organization and you make that transition from small market to big market, you have to adjust. And I don't know if Mr. Bloom um, is ready to adjust. We'll see. He was given this opportunity. Other teams passed, or he came close with other teams. Hey, he could have been the Mets GM. And I told Guru that um, maybe there's a reason why he was passed up, because even though he made it work in Tampa and put together competitive teams, it's different when everything is, bigger and there's more at stake. So keep the fan base, happy, because they're definitely going to be able to get you out of there quicker than usual if you keep losing top tier talent. And then if you lose top tier talent, not bring in talent that that has equity or reciprocity for what you lost. So I hope he knows what he's doing, but it doesn't look like that. So those are my thoughts. And especially when you're so far removed from having success and that success being there before you got there, it's even more magnified. So
I have a question for you guys. How many contracts, how many $200 million contracts do you think that the Boston Red Sox have signed players to over the course of their entire history?
200.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about that one for a second.
I would say the most 5.
I'd probably say like 5 and under. I'd agree.
So they signed David Price to a 7-year, $217 million contract. End of list.
Really?
The
Wow.
closest to that was the 8-year, $160 million contract they gave to Manny Ramirez.
I would have said Price because I knew that was one.
That's the only contract they've
JD
ever signed over 160 ever.
Oh no. JD was 110. Yeah.
I would have I would have never guessed that.
So it's not. It's. I mean, it's partly it's Bloom, but it's not just Bloom. It's like this franchise just doesn't understand the market right now. In today's market, they don't fucking understand it. They like I don't know how else to how else do you let Mookie and Xander walk? I don't know how else to explain it.
That's fucking nuts. I would have never thought
These
that.
are both homegrown talents.
To be
Like
honest, with you, and I know it was a way back, but I would have thought Price,
Manny,
JD,
Manny, I would have thought too.
yeah,
I would have said Manny.
Manny, Big Papi, and even though I know it was a way back, I would have thought Nomar.
so, and now it's not like, and I made a post in the group about this after Bogart signed, but they've had, I think, 17 or 19 times, something like that. They've since 2000, they've had somebody on the roster making 30 million a year, but they've never committed to that kind of money long term ever, except for David Price.
Wow.
And that ain't gonna get it done in this market.
All right, Bloom, I take that back. Maybe you're not the only piece of shit there. Because, damn. Then
So it's not.
How much did John Lackey make a year? Because
too much if this is partly his decision making. I just like, it's not just Bloom. It seems to be like the entire spending philosophy of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But damn, but to have those three players walk away when you won a World Series with them in 2018, that's three of your main four. That's a big blow.
well, I mean, Boston has let other players walk away before. Adrian Beltre walked away. Mookie Betts walked away. Well, they let walk away. Trying to think of some other players.
They're not doing it right up in Boston. I'll tell you that right now. Thank God he wasn't the Mets GM when he was in the final.
They let Knobloch and Johnny Damon go to New York.
True.
That worked in their favor, I would say.
It did.
Man, so we went through some signings, biggest signings, shortstop, freaking life-changing money, career contracts, and also blew up the whole Boston front office for doing what they're doing and not signing their players. So let's end this with some final thoughts, fellas. Ty,
Hold up. Before we do final thoughts,
what?
Where do y'all think Dansby ends up?
Oof.
Me and Kyle have been saying he's going to be a Dodger.
And I'm hearing those rumblings, but I don't see it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And this is a stretch. This is a stretch. But the Cubs.
I've been hearing some of that too.
I've heard the Cubs.
Please no. Please no.
Well, I heard there's a hole in shortstop in Minnesota since they just lost somebody. They were throwing money.
Yeah, that would be an interesting team to swoop in at the last second, and it would make sense. But first you gotta convince Dansby Swanson that there's a chance to win in Minnesota.
Exactly. That was my other thought to that sentence.
Do the
You
Mets
know,
want to throw some more money around for no reason? I'm kidding. Just kidding.
no, I wouldn't have mind Correa just because they're friends, him and Lindor playing the left side of the infield, but nah, I wouldn't want Dansby. Not that
And,
he's not a good player, it's just that he wouldn't fit our team.
and Trev, as much as it hurts, I mean, as much as you don't want to hear it, he ain't coming back.
I don't think he cares anymore. I think he knows that they have Christian and they're gonna slide him over. And also Trav was saying the Padres got major players. This needs to equate to wins now. 100%.
It's
Yeah.
also not the Braves style to sign somebody that they've get to free agency. That's not what they do anymore.
Mhm.
They find these great talents and they sign them before they enter their third year of service.
They lock them up before they even get out of middle school.
Acuna, Albies, Harris, Strider, that's just what they do now, and that's what's going to end up happening with Grissom too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very, very, very true. All right, Storms, give us your closing thoughts, brother. What do you guys say about these signings, man?
keep them coming, man. Swanson's going to sign soon. I think he'll probably be. I think he'll probably be announced by Monday. The mid-tier free agent market's starting to heat up, so it's we'll have a decent amount to cover by the time our next show comes around for sure. But man, don't ever let anyone tell you that baseball offseason is boring ever again.
Mm-hmm. Really?
This year, the last 2 or 3 years, the off season, especially during the winter meetings, has been pretty crazy. So, yeah, man, I'm just enjoying it. Hopefully, we're gonna try and be back next week. Not let it go so long between shows, but yeah, I guess that's all I got, man. Just I'm still happy to be here.
Man, we got a Trav in the comments saying mute category 5 now because you're talking about Dansby. What do you got, Ty?
He who has, the money to spend and will spend it in baseball. They're not shy about throwing their wallet around. But one thing I'm liking to see is that everyone's kind of paying attention to what other teams are doing. Everybody's, competing. How many, conversations are happening with top tier talent. There's so many organizations that want, the next big thing or want, to change the culture, shake things up. So as far as competition goes, everybody's keeping an eye on each other, which is good to see for baseball. For those teams that don't have a good farm system, you may want to start thinking about that. And for those teams that are hesitating to make some moves, you may want to think about, taking that risk, obviously with some trades that, you don't see coming and signings that you don't see coming. But if you have the means and the right ownership that's willing to say, here's a blank check, write a number, which we're probably seeing, literally, this is where we are. So fathers, mothers, you have sons, encourage them to be baseball players because they will get 11 and 13-year contracts for millions and millions, hundreds of millions.
My closing thought. I'm gonna go back to the Red Sox. Red Sox signed a Japanese player, Yorisha, 5 years, 90 million, just to kind of give you an idea of what Storms is saying. That they don't sign people over 200 million contracts or players for over 200 million contracts. On our next show, I want to touch upon these 2 Japanese players that are all-star players in their own right overseas and just signed, Yoshida being one for the Red Sox and Senga being one for the Mets. and their impact on, or Japanese players' impact on the MLB. We're going to touch on that. Don't miss that show. And also, like Storm said, we'll be back next week to talk about the mid-tier pitchers and also position players that are still out there. We still got Carlos Rodon. Is he going to go to the Yankees? Is he going to be a Cardinal? Or is it going to be a team
Giants,
that's...
I'm hearing.
Yep. Or is it going to be a team that is, he was stay with the Giants? Or the Giants just picked up a marquee player like we talked about in Korea. They need pitching, and he's the one arm out there that they can keep. But
Or is he going to get dodgered? Some random team comes in at the last minute and throws a boatload of money at him, and then next thing you know, he's wearing red, white, and blue.
Man, Trav just said the Dodgers need to trade Dave Roberts.
Hey, Ozzy got traded.
Yeah, he did. Hey, everybody out there, you guys already know the faces, know the names, the dish. Coming live. We'll bring you a new show, like Storm said, next week. Stay tuned for more signings, more trades, more dealings, and also go to Facebook if you haven't joined us yet. We're always talking about stuff that happens on the daily. You see the category always asking questions. The what ifs, what if a player goes here? What if a player goes there? Join us. We're on the dish. Like he's saying, he's pointing right there on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. And we're also on IG.
Instagram.
There you go. So join us there. Anyway, from Guru, Category, and Ty, peace. We'll see y'all next time.